Welcome back, dear viewers. You're still watching The Breakfast Show. And in this segment of our program, we are still covering President Abdel Azim's yesterday's visit to Kuwait. And now we are joined over the phone by Dr. Mohamed Abdel Azim, Professor of Political Sciences. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
So, Dr. Mohamed, how do you see the significance of President Abdel Azim's visit to Kuwait yesterday? To what extent it will help in enhancing cooperation between the two countries in different fields?
According to mostly of events which happen really in the region and especially in all the world, and we could really see this kind of strategic relationship between Egypt and Kuwait. It's part of mostly of those visits, okay. And according to this the summit, which could hold by Kuwait for the three presidents of Egypt and Kuwait and Algeria, it's going to prepare for the next summit, Arab summit, next month for Algeria. From other side, it's part of it's a kind of preparation to mostly of investment projects between two countries, Egypt and Kuwait, and mostly of agenda, which held by Mr. President Abdel Azim. There's around like $4 billion dollars investment for the two countries, Egypt and Kuwait, for this agenda. Moreover, there is another mostly current affairs between the two countries to discuss during this agenda, for the most of crisis for Libya and Yemen and other crises like Syria too.
Yes. So, sir, also the president confirmed that he is determined to promote the joint Arab action. How can this be achieved, and it's important at the current stage?
There's mostly of challenges for the whole Arab region.
Yes.
And the discussion between the two presidents coming to representing this kind of challenges, according to mostly of the COVID-19 era that we are living right now, for the economic crisis, and even which for the all Arab countries. So during this summit and discussion, they try to presenting this some different kind of alternatives for the next Arab summit to pushing the economic reforming for or some projects for the Arab countries, and in addition to try to making a policy for the Arab countries toward this mostly of international crisis which happen right now in Ukraine, and the reaction from the Arabian countries and United States toward Russia. So there's different kind, as I mentioned, of issues which could really should discuss during this summit, and for Mr. President Abdel Azim, who's really trying to representing the important role of Egypt, and according to some expressions coming by Tabul, the President of Algeria, this summit coming to representing the Arab rule towards a different kind of crisis in the region and all over the world.
Yes, sir. Also combating terrorism and extremism and spreading the culture of tolerance was among the issues that topped the agenda of the talks yesterday. So how do you see collaboration in these fields?
Excuse me, I couldn't hear the last part of the question.
I'm talking about combating terrorism and extremism, and spreading the culture of tolerance were among the issues that topped the agenda of the talks yesterday. How do you see collaboration between the two countries to face such challenges as terrorism and extremism?
There's a specific rule Egypt to play the 10 years toward this kind of terrorism which happened all over the world. And Egypt was really has a very good experiences to enhance this kind of crisis. So during this summit, I think Egypt would hold this kind of alternatives, and there's the kind of strategy to support this kind of aliens against any kind of terrorism, and if using the violence, especially. As I mentioned, the different kind of challenges could changes the rule of, or we could really, not just the rule, I think for the strategies of most of the countries in the region.
Yes. Sir, also a means of attracting more Kuwaiti investors to Egypt and collaborate and enhancing more investments in Egypt by Kuwaiti investors. How can this be achieved?
As we could really figure out from some declarations from the two sides, this kind of the summit coming to presenting this kind of the framework of especially of relation for both those two countries and to brotherhood countries as Egypt and Kuwait in terms of some of basic relationship and ties and complexity relation and cooperation too. So during these talks, we could really expect a different kind of expressions. Sorry, not just an expression. I mean, like there's different kind of wondering about how Mr. Abdel Fattah and Mr. Sheikh Nawaf Al Sabah, the Sheikh of Kuwait, to try to representing the concerning of relation between the two countries during this discussion here.
Yes. Sir, also if we talk about Egyptian-Kuwaiti relations and how can they cooperate to face different challenges facing the Arab world nowadays and achieve stability and developments at social and economic levels, how can the two countries play a role in achieving this?
After any kind of a summit of meetings, okay, the committee try to making and presenting the how to implementing how there's a different the different challenges coming to implementing the goals of any kind of summit. So I think during the next Arab Summit in Algeria next month, they're trying to figure out how to try to pushing the cooperation between countries, especially there's a different kind of challenges. Moreover, the Kuwait is trying to hold the agenda towards some, threats coming by some neighborhood countries like Iran, and there's this kind of there's a kind of holding this. Working, okay, and they're holding this, forcing to this kind of issues too.
Yes. Sir, also, can you shed light on the history of relations between Egypt and Kuwait and the role of Egyptians in building Kuwait?
Egypt usually playing a very great role, okay, for all our countries of the region, especially for the Gulf countries. And as we mentioned, the mostly of the building Kuwait, Egypt is played a very great role according to establishing most of mostly of the statehood institutions. Moreover, during the Iraq invasions, the starting of the 19th, Egypt absorbed the Kuwait and receiving mostly of Syrian from the Kuwait side in Egypt and was the member of international army alliance to apprehend the Kuwait from Iraq. And after this time, we could really, there's a strength of relations between two countries coming to mostly of relations in this time till now.
Yes, sir. Also, if we talk about the joint committee between the joint committee between Egypt and Kuwait, as it is expected to meet soon in the coming days, and its role in supporting economic and trade relations between Egypt and Kuwait in light of its approaching holding of its 13th session in Cairo. So, yes.
Okay, excuse me.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, can you repeat your question again, please?
Yes, I'm talking about the role of the Egyptian-Kuwaiti Joint Committee in supporting economic and trade relations between the two countries in light of its approaching holding of the 13th session in Cairo. So to what extent the joint committee between the two countries can help in promoting economic cooperation?
According to what really happened during the last 2 years after COVID-19, there's different kind of discussion and talks held by Egypt and most of the countries all over the world. And they try to presenting there's different kind of crisis, economic crisis, okay, after COVID-19 and the depression for the national economy. So this, I think this summit, this kind of talk coming for two countries to emphasize as it's very important to have the project which will try to push most of this strategic project for two countries to support the issues which coming to refreshing the economic working right for this time, sure.
Yes. So, sir, also, if we talk about Egyptian exports, how can we increase our Egyptian exports to Kuwait, especially that 2021 had witnessed a leap in trade exchange, mainly in increasing Egyptian exports to the Kuwaiti markets. How can we achieve this?
We could achieve that because we have Egypt really, after Mr. Abdel Sisi, holding the presence of Egypt. Egypt has a really its own agenda for the investment. So during this different kind of talks and meetings for the external visiting for Mr. President, we try to present this different kind of cooperation for economic projects and to invest in Egypt. There's an opening, earnestness to invest inside Egypt, sure.
Yes.
So during, I think this kind of talk, Egypt totally offered to reforming this kind of a strategic plan and to find out how we could find a strategic project for the two countries to invest this kind of very strategic relation and political and diplomatic
yes.
level for the two countries. On the other side, for the culture relation between two countries,
yes.
for the economic reforming too, sure.
Yes. So finally, I'd like to thank you, Dr. Mohamed Abdel Azim, Professor of Political Sciences. Thank you for being with us, and short break, and we'll be back.